Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Emily, and in today's video I am talking about all of the books that I read during the month of August. So I read a total of 12 books in August, which was an amazing reading month for me. I read 10 physical books and 2 on my Kindle, which I'll talk about at the end. But I had an amazing reading month. I read some of my new favorite books ever, and I also read a lot of books that I've been meaning to read for a long time, and I finally got to them during August. But before I do get started, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and like the video if you do enjoy it. My social medias will be on the screen and also all linked in the description. But without rambling on too much, I'm just going to get straight into the video. This will not be in the order that I actually read them in. This is just going to be random, and I'm going to grab any book at any time. So the first book I'm going to talk about today is Haunting Adeline by H.D. Carlton. So this book is about a girl who falls in love with a man who is stalking her and watches her outside her house every day. I have never read a dark romance before this book, and I was really scared going into this because I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know how dark it was going to be or anything like that, but I did rate it 5 stars, and it would honestly probably be a 6-star rating, but I'm leaving the 6-star for the second book because it might top this one. I don't know, but I do want to leave a higher rating for the next book. Please look up trigger warnings for this book. I never normally look up trigger warnings, but I did before reading this, and I was shocked before even reading it. But you do have to look up trigger warnings for this book because there is very dark themes and things that happen in this book. I am literally like gonna be in my dark romance era now after reading this. I cannot believe I didn't read this earlier. For some reason I thought this book was a fantasy book. I don't know if it's like the skull on the front with the black cover or something, but I did not expect it to be a romance book. I don't know what I thought, but it wasn't what I expected. It like topped what I thought it was going to be, and I flew through it even though it's like a 500-page book. So yeah, that was an amazing read for me, probably one of my favorites of the month. Then we have Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson. I rated this 3.75 stars because it wasn't really 3.5, but it wasn't 4, so I went in between. So I was actually reading this at the end of July, like into August, so I was kind of reading it for both months, but I finished it in August. I just found myself getting really bored in this book. So it is like a YA mystery, and there's a little bit of romance in there as well, and it follows a girl, I can't even remember her name. Oh yeah, Stevie. Okay, it follows Stevie, and she's going to Allingham Academy, and there's a lot of unsolved crimes there from the past, and she is going there with the intention to try to solve them herself. And that concept itself is really interesting, but I feel like because it was YA and a little bit like kind of light-hearted to me, it was just a little bit boring at times. But with that being said, I am still really excited to go into the next book, and there was a good plot twist at the end of this that made me want to continue the series. I just feel like it's a little bit young for my age, but I did still really like it. The next one is definitely my favorite book of the month, and I literally read this in the past week, and that is Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. I love this cover, the one that everyone else has, but this cover is absolutely gorgeous. It is so beautiful, and I absolutely love it. I've never seen anyone have this cover besides people in Australia, so I'm actually happy that we have something a little bit different for once. So it follows Iris and Roman, and they kind of have like a workplace enemies relationship. Iris goes off to report on the war that is happening, and her brother is at war, but she hasn't actually heard from him in a long time, and Iris is sending her brother letters through her typewriter, and she puts them under a door and they disappear, and she thinks that they're getting sent to her brother, but instead they're actually getting sent to someone else, and they finally reply one day and tell her that it's not her brother, and their little relationship goes from there. As you can probably tell, who is receiving the letters from her, and she doesn't know but he does. This book has so much depth to it. I wasn't expecting to love this so much because at the start I was getting really bored, but once I got probably like 60 or 70% through, I flew through it because it was just absolutely amazing. I seriously cannot wait for the second book. I think it comes out at the end of the year or next year, I can't even remember, but I am really excited because this ends on a massive like cliffhanger, and I need to know what happens after this book because it was just so good. This was definitely a 6-star read for me. I don't know why people compare it to Fourth Wing though, because they're each like amazing in their own ways, and I feel like they're both amazing books, but they're nothing alike realistically, and I just don't get why they're compared. I think it's just because they blew up at the same time. Still like Fourth Wing a little bit better, but this was still a 6-star read for me. The next book we have, which is a very long awaited read for me, Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. It actually matches me. I love that. I have been meaning to read this book for so long, and I don't know why I never did, but I made a TikTok asking you guys to choose my next read, and everyone kind of said this one, so that's why I picked it up. I fell in love with this story. 5-star read for me. It was just a very fun and light-hearted romance book. I haven't really read like a really quick and easy romance book in a while, so for me to go into this and just have some like happy vibes and like a cute little palette cleanser was really good, because I read this after Haunting Adeline, so I really needed something just like quick and easy to read. But yeah, it was just a really cute romance and I loved it, and I can just see this becoming like a little comfort read for me. Next we have Do Not Disturb by Frida McFadden. So I actually read this at the start of the month on my Kindle, and then during the month I ended up getting the physical copy, so I have the physical copy now. And now that I've seen some of her books in real life and how like skinny they are, I've realized why I get through them so quickly, because they're just like quite short books. But I absolutely loved this. This was a 5-star read for me, probably one of my favorites from her ever. So if anyone knows a TV show called Bates Motel, this kind of gave a similar vibe to that. I like going into a thriller kind of blind, so I'm not really going to talk about what happens in the book. That's why I'm saying it's kind of just like Bates Motel, so like take that as you will. And I think you should read this book because it was one of my favorites from her, and I just think it was really different to other thriller books that I've read as well, which is what I really liked about it. This was a really good read. I loved this. The next book we have is The Summer of Broken Rules by K.L. Walther. So I did want to save this for Australian summer because we are in winter at the moment. Well, not really anymore because I'm filming this on the second day of spring now, but we were as I was reading this, and I absolutely loved this book. I feel like if I had have waited till summer, it definitely would have been a 5-star read for me, but I rated it 4.5 stars. I feel like just because the vibes and like where I was reading it and everything like that just didn't really match up with the vibe of the book, but it was such a cute little romance read. So pretty much it follows Meredith, and she goes to her family's like holiday house because her cousin is getting married, and every year they play this massive game of assassin with the family. So pretty much it's like they have water guns and they all chase each other, and they each have like a person that they're aiming for, and they play this massive game with the whole family. And because it's a wedding, there is 2 sides of the family, and she meets a boy from the other side of the family, and they spark up a connection and they make a little pact together, and the story goes from there. And it was just a really cute, light-hearted read. I absolutely loved this, and I cannot wait to go into the second book. It's actually on my physical TBR here, so I'm probably going to go through that soon. Maybe I'll wait till like some warmer weather to read that, because there's definitely a lot of books that I'm waiting till summer to read because I just don't want to ruin the vibe for myself. Next we have If He Had Been With Me by Laura Nowlin. So I have seen so many things about this book making people sob and just really emotional, and they're like heartbroken after reading this. However, I just didn't feel that way about this book. It pretty much follows 2 children who grow up together and their mums are best friends, so it's a girl and a boy, and it shows their relationship growing up and then when they go into secondary school and everything like that, and it shows them like sort of having feelings for each other but never really acting on it. And the reason why I just didn't feel a connection and didn't get upset is because the thing that happens at the end of the book is literally told in the first chapter, and that is that something happens to the boy in the book. It literally like happens instantly the second you start reading the book, and then like I was expecting it to happen the whole time, so I wasn't shocked at the end when it did happen. So I just feel like if the book didn't like tell you at the beginning what happens at the end, I would have actually like cried and felt emotional towards the book, but I just didn't because of that. I don't know if I'm even making sense, but if you've read the book you'll know what I'm actually talking about. But I did rate this 4 out of 5 stars. It was still a really cute read, but it just wasn't like what I expected. I expected it to be a 5-star read. I expected to sob and everything, but I just didn't. But I don't know if it's just me. I know a couple of people on my TikTok agreed, but I was just kind of disappointed, to be honest. Next, which was also a disappointing read, was Done and Dusted by Lila Sage. At the start of this book I was like, oh, this is giving like Flawless by Elsie Silver, like there's small town cowboy vibes, like I was loving it. However, it just became really insta-lovey for me, which I don't really like, and a lot of the book was smut as well, which I don't like either. Like it's okay when there's like a little bit, but I don't like when the whole storyline is based around smut. Like it's just boring to me and I just literally skim it. So yeah, it was a really cute and easy read to get through, but I just found it really boring compared to what other people are saying about it. Everyone says how much they love it and I just didn't at all. Also, the male main character has a nickname for her that I didn't like at all. It literally gave me the ick the whole time, and that was Sugar. I just did not like it at all. It reminds me of like the men that slide into your DMs on Instagram, like that's what they would call you. So I was getting the ick every time I read that in the book, and I feel like that really dropped my rating as well. But I rated this 3.5 stars. It was still like a good rating. It was just like a good book. It was mediocre. Next, which I actually listened to as an audiobook, we have Normal People by Sally Rooney. So I am clearly very long overdue reading this book. This book was popular on TikTok probably like 2 or 3 years ago now. It was one of those like original BookTok books that everyone loved. I'm sorry to say, but I just hated it. It was literally just so boring. I feel like I read a whole bunch of nothing. Like literally nothing happened in this book. It was just the same thing happening over and over again. And I kind of get like what the point of the book is. Like it's meant to literally just be like normal people living their day-to-day lives. I just found it so repetitive and so boring, and that's why I gave it 3 stars. Honestly, I don't know why I even gave it 3, because when you compare like Done and Dusted being 3.5, it's like there's a big difference between these two as well. I honestly feel like it would deserve more of like a 2 or a 2.5, and I really wanted to love it, but it was just so boring. Like I'm not the only person, like, because I posted a TikTok of my reaction to this and everyone was agreeing with me, but I feel like most people I saw like have loved this book, so I was just confused. I was confused on where the love is coming from for this book, because I just didn't like it at all. Then, which I also listened to as an audiobook randomly, we have Regretting You by Colleen Hoover. So I haven't read a Colleen Hoover book in a while actually, and I just randomly decided to listen to the audiobook for this, and I actually really liked it. It was a 4-star read for me. I actually have no recollection of this, like what even happened in the book or anything, but I know when I was listening to it I did like it. I just can't remember now what happened or anything, which means I guess it didn't really make a big impression on me or anything, because I remember every other book, just not this one for some reason. But obviously I rated it 4 stars, so it was still pretty good. Maybe we'd drop that rating a little bit since I can't even remember what happened. So that was all the physical books. Now I'm gonna go on to the books that I read on my Kindle. So of course there were 2 more thrillers from Frida McFadden. What could you even expect from me? So the first one is Do You Remember by Frida McFadden. To start off, I rated this 3.5 stars. It was about a lady and she wakes up next to this man and she can't remember anything about what happened in her life. She doesn't know who this man is. Like all she remembers is going to sleep the night before with another man that she was married to. It was a really cool concept, but the actual book itself I just found really boring. There wasn't like any massive twists at the end that were unexpected to me. Like I kind of just expected everything that happened, so it was really boring in that sense. Probably like one of the worst books I've read from Frida McFadden, but I still did like it because I love all of her books, but it was just like boring compared to other books from her. The last book I read during the month was The Co-Worker by Frida McFadden, which came out last week, and I did really like this, so I rated it 4 stars. So it was about a lady and she had this really weird co-worker that was obsessed with turtles, and one day she goes missing, and because Natalie, who's the main character, had bullied her in the workplace, a lot of people blame her for her going missing and she's getting questioned and everything like that. The story goes from there, but because of the co-worker being obsessed with turtles in like a weird way, it just like put me off the book. Like I just got cringed out every time I read it, and every time I read something about turtles I was like, please, like stop. I think I was trying to say that she had autism and OCD and stuff like that, so she was definitely dealing with mental health issues. However, like the whole turtle thing, it just like really put me off the book, and I feel like that's what dropped my rating. I feel like it might have been a 5-star read for me if turtles were not involved, because I was just sick of hearing it throughout the book. But yeah, that was the last book. So that was all of the 12 books that I read during the month of August. As I said at the start of the video, I did have some really good reads in this month, so I'm really happy. It was a very successful reading month for me, and I've got some like really thick books that I'm going into September with, so I don't know if I'm going to have this many next month, but we'll see. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you all enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, don't forget to give the video a like and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more content from me. Leave a comment telling me what book was your favorite in August, because I would love to know. And yeah, with all of that being said, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in my next video.